Okay.
Caleb Beaver, but he's not here. Bam, we're live. Facundo, what's up, dude?
I'm good. How about you?
Living the dream, buddy.
How many dreams do you have?
One.
Which is?
Just breathe.
Just breathe. Okay.
Just breathe. Just breathe. I'm just glad to be breathing.
Yes. Nowadays, it's really an asset, huh?
Yeah. Everything after breathing's a bonus. Like this Fit Aid's a bonus. Oh, look, there he is. Hi, Caleb. Caleb, do you care if I bring you on? Caleb, meet Facundo. Facundo, meet Caleb. You guys have met before, right?
Maybe a long time ago.
Yeah. We do. I was waiting for his answer. He certainly doesn't remember. I do remember.
How can you forget Facundo?
I could not.
Facundo, say your last name for me.
Sorry, guys. Is there an echo? Oof, chocolats.
You have an echo? He can't hear me. Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
I can hear you. It just sounds like it might be a delay on his end, maybe.
What country are you in, Facundo?
I'm in France now.
And do we have a delay?
Let me just close.
Okay, so the audience says they don't have an echo. Oh, maybe you have a YouTube window open also, Facundo. That's also, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm checking that. 1 second.
Okay, take your time. Damn, Caleb, you look crisp. Starlink looks good.
Yeah, thanks. I think it's because it's the daytime.
Yeah, better. Hey, dude, you know who I had on this morning? I had Benjamin Moreau. He's a coach in France, and I don't know if I've ever done 2 podcasts in one day with dudes in France.
Oh, where in France was he? You remember?
He told me. I don't remember. He the name of the gym was something like Two River. It was Poon. It was
Don't try. Don't worry, it's fine.
I just wanted to say Poon.
It's better like this. I haven't seen that, but I saw an amazing one with Angelo and Saxon.
Oh yeah! Wow, you did like that?
I mean, they're my people, so they're my clan. So yes, I do. But I do like it. I can be critical. I think it was great.
3 dudes with clear eyeglasses. Only one is out of the closet. All right. Go ahead, Caleb. Your turn.
Shit.
Okay. Next. Yeah, I was saying. I love the podcast. I mean, my closet is there, so wide open.
Are you in a hotel room?
I'm in a hotel room. Yeah.
You're back to your day job?
Which is?
I don't know. Oh yeah, you don't have your day job anymore, huh?
I don't have any day job anymore.
Yeah.
I have a 24-hour job.
What are you doing in France? Are you visiting athletes or?
No, I am visiting a colleague for something a project that we're working together.
And normally home for you is Belgium.
It's Belgium, yes. It's a 4-hour train ride from here. Lyon is where the semifinals took place this year. Southern mid France, and it's a great place. And it might be the place with the best food in the world, the best restaurants in the world. Yeah. So the French school. They are here. No, that's not Lyon.
This Lyon.
No, not that Lyon. Yes, Lyon, Lyon. There it is.
Okay.
There I am. And many of the greatest restaurants of the French cuisine are here in Lyon. So it's a very good place for eating.
Hey, if you go there, what should people order?
People here know a lot about food. So they...
what would I order there if I went there? Like, is their steak good? Their hamburgers?
The steak is good. No, hamburgers, everything is good. But for example, we came with Rich here earlier this year, and he ate escargot, which is snails. And we ate...
Did you get that approved by Rich to let you say that he ate snails?
Yeah, because we put it on the video. In case you haven't seen it, it's the video of Mayhem in Europe. So
hey, are they big ass snails like this?
No, they are tiny. They are tiny, and there's so much butter and so much garlic that you actually don't taste a snail. You just taste the butter and the garlic. Me, at least.
Hey, aren't snails pretty much just slugs, but with like armor?
I don't know. I don't eat it, so God, I don't know. But food here is great, and the city is amazing. Hopefully, the next semifinals takes place here, and that's what I'm doing here. Yeah. But you know what? Talking about that, the other day, my daughter asked me, if you were not a CrossFit coach or a coach, she believes I'm a superstar. She's, a bit young to understand. What would you do? And I said, I would love to be a food critic. And actually, yeah, that would be my great excuse for eating nonstop. And yeah.
Are you close with Daniel Chafee?
Yes.
Yeah, you are. Okay. Is that who you're meeting with?
No. He's in Bordeaux, which is not more like in the north.
And can you tell me what this secret project is that you're working on, that you're at right now?
Next time you invite me in the podcast, I'll gladly tell you.
Okay, I like that. Okay, no, next time. That's a good preview.
Oh,
yeah. So you were at the games this year?
With you most of the time.
And you were there in the capacity as a coach?
Yes.
And who were you coaching?
Well, I was coaching Roman, Karen, Saxon, 3 teams, and also being support for the remaining Mayhem athletes that were competing that weekend.
Karen Freyova.
Yeah.
And 3 teams. And were any of those teams from South America?
Yes, Mayhem RA1 Unity.
So you and then were any of the teams from the United States?
No.
Okay, so you had athletes there from the South American continent, the European continent, and the North American continent.
Asia.
Because Roman technically is Asia.
Oh no, athletes. Yes, athletes. Sorry, yes, from everywhere actually.
Yeah, it's crazy, dude. I wonder if there's any other coach who does that, who has that such a wide breadth of athletes from so many different regions. It's pretty crazy.
In any case, this year was easier because we have Dom D'Agostino with us at Mayhem, and he's an amazing coach. And as you can imagine,
fuck that guy. He coached Tudor last Friday and took $1,500 from us.
What I want to say is that it's obvious that it was not a great weekend for me, and I also feel that I was not a great asset to my athletes because my head was somewhere else. But I tried to do my best, and I stayed there the whole weekend. And yeah,
because you used to be Lazar Jukic's coach.
Yeah, I worked with Lazar for almost 3 years.
Yeah, that's wild.
Yeah.
And so when you got there, you were excited to see him.
Yes, I always not with everybody, but always try to get to maintain a good relationship with my former athletes, because in my capacity, I always try to develop a friendship, which works better for me, at least as a coach. And we talk, and I was very happy hugging him and telling him that I thought there was going to be a great games for the workouts that we knew so far for him.
And it's funny. It's interesting you said that hug, because I think that's a great one-word description of Lazar Jukic. He's huggable. He's a guy that like other men can feel very intimate with right away. He's like a man's man. He's cool as shit. You don't feel judgment around him. He's just like a cool dude.
Yeah, all of that and much more.
Yeah. So you're there, and all that happens, and you went through that whole coaches. We've heard a bunch of renditions now of how Friday played out with after his death. All the athletes and coaches got together and they all met in that room, and you were there for all of that.
I was there for all of that. Yes.
And that sounds like it was very intense, and maybe do you think that was beneficial in the processing?
I think that that happened the same day.
Right.
So I'm not sure whether anything that was done that day was the perfect thing or a bad thing. Most of us were doing the best we could.
Right.
It was hard to analyze whether that was something that we wouldn't regret in a week, or something that we wouldn't regret in 3 months, or never. So I think that we were doing our best to be there.
And how many CrossFit Games have you been to?
Well, the first one was with you, actually, 2014, and
Yeah.
ever since, every single one except 2020.
Okay, so 10 or 11.
Yeah.
And then even though you weren't there at 20, still it's not because you chose not to be there. It was because of the limitations of the crowd size. They only allowed 5 athletes, and then the people who were running the event.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, crazy. And so you have intimate knowledge with all the normal emotions that go on with being a CrossFit Games athlete through this arduous task of 12 to 14 events, and the emotional journey, and just the frustrations and the ups and the downs, and there can only be one winner every single year. You would say you have pretty intimate knowledge with that, from being with champions to people who perform poorly.
Yeah, I guess so. Yes. I mean, yes. Yeah.
But never been at have you ever been at any event where someone died? Any other sporting events where
No.
No. So a one-off and a brand new experience for you.
It was a new experience, and I hope that it doesn't happen again, that I don't have to go through that again, and nobody has to go through that again.
Hey, Facundo, was it ever an option for someone in your position to leave?
No, to be honest, no, because I'm a coach.
Yeah.
And if my athletes wanted to compete, even that it was a very hard weekend for me, like for everybody else, me maybe because of the nature of the relationship that I had with Lazar, for me at least particularly hard. But I don't think that I could say to my athletes, okay, we work 1 year together, but today this weekend is not for me, so I won't be with you. I won't be supporting you, and I won't be there for you. And I think that, even those who stayed had a very hard weekend. It's not like those who stayed were, in a great place. No, I think that today, I think so many things were said, and I think that people have maybe lost a little bit the clear idea of what happened and how things happen. I've heard a podcast of some of the athletes from CrossFit Reignited, I think, and he was very accurate. I mean, it was a very hard time for everybody. Despite the decision you take, whether continue or leave, it was a very, very, very hard moment for everybody there.
But for you in particular, you same with like media people, or people like who had like just jobs there, right? Like judges, volunteers. Like for them, it's not even like you couldn't even entertain the idea of leaving, right?
No, it never crossed my mind, to be honest.
Yeah, and if it did, you would have had to push it away because you had obligations to other people. Not you couldn't process, like Facundo doesn't. You don't go to the games and that's like there's no Facundo time.
There's no Facundo time those days. I mean, Facundo time is the job that I have to do there, which is support my athletes and be there for them if they need it. That is the responsibility for me at the games. I'm not a coach who is like the whole time telling people what to do and how to feel and how to breathe. No, I'm there for my athletes. Most of the work is being done beforehand throughout the year. So there is just the time to perform.
And in that event, the question, of all questions is, and I don't even know if I have it drilled down to the proper verbiage, but Lazar was swimming and he drowned. And I think I haven't heard anyone say that he shouldn't have been saved. Like there should have been, I don't even know I wish I had a different word than should, but he was swimming and there were lifeguards. His duty was to perform, and the lifeguard's duty was to watch the athletes. And if they have issues, to recognize the issues and to provide service to the athlete in the best possible way ever. And I think we all agree that means don't let them go under the water and be lost.
Yeah, that's exactly what should have happened. Yeah.
Right.
And I think that there was an intention for everybody. No, but I don't.
Right.
I don't. Yeah.
And I'm not suggesting by any means that the lifeguard let him drown on purpose. I'm not suggesting that the lifeguard wasn't distracted. I'm not, and I use the word lifeguard loosely. I don't even know what that word means. I apologize. But whoever was, there was clearly a belief that we all have that we probably never even thought of because we put it on CrossFit, but that that there would be someone there watching the athletes. So if there was an injury, whether it be on land or in the water or under the snatch, like we saw Brooke Wells, or we saw Dr. Rocket save Emily Rolfe's life with his quick decisions about her clotting in her arm, we have become accustomed to people there to save athletes who are in danger. We all agree on that?
Yeah, I mean, I've been there for many years. I mean, last year Roman got injury. Of course, it's a complete different nature of, you know, the gravity. But yes, that happened the way it did. I mean, I don't know what to tell you. I think it's a big tragedy, and I hope that we find in time soon the answers that many people are still waiting for.
And let's use Roman's injury. Roman's injury was, if I remember, he was throwing items over a barrier, and then he had to jump over the barrier. And because those items where they were thrown, he landed on one, and it caused him to break his ankle.
When he jumped above the wooden structure, he put his foot on one of the sandbags and twisted his foot and broke his foot. Yeah.
And so we didn't hear a lot of discussion at that point of blaming CrossFit for having the event set up poorly. And I'm not suggesting they did set it up poorly. I'm just saying it would have been we could have had 10 shows of the PFAA coming out and saying, hey, there should have been a better way of doing this. This is what we would have recommended. And he wouldn't have broke his ankle. But now we're having all of these discussions, not how to fix the situation. By the way, I want to be very clear, and we'll get to this. But basically, because Lazar died, it's made the discussion more louder, more passionate, more vehement about safety.
Yeah, I mean, I went to many athletes who have injuries at the games, and and I've seen other athletes being held by the medical service at the games, at least at the Coliseum or in Carson, and I think that I know Dr. Rocket very well. He's one of the most committed, motivated, generous, and caring people that I met at the CrossFit Games. I have the chance always when I am there to talk with him because I admire his work very, very much. And when Roman had his accident, he took great care of him. And that's what happened, at least in Roman's case.
And I spoke to someone who is in charge of, I think, medical and safety protocols. I want to say it's from 2015 to 2022. And that obviously Dave's no expert in safety. So they bring in the experts. We all know that they're crazy world-class people. Caleb's been on the team. Caleb was telling me like, hey, dude, they're all either from the New York City Fire Department or they have some crazy military background, but these aren't your just pool lifeguards working these events. These are like people who actually have thousands of hours of practical experience working in places where life or death is like always on their mind.
Yeah, I mean, yet again, I really cannot talk very much. I wasn't there when what happened actually happened. I came a bit later, so I cannot tell you. I don't feel that I'm entitled to talk very much about those details in Lazar's case because I wasn't there. I can tell you the experience that I have with my athletes, having gone through different kind of little accidents, and they were very, very proficient in the way they took care of them. Especially Roman. I mean, with Roman was the medical service of the CrossFit Games really recommended Roman not to go back to the next event, to the famous event in which he was doing the double unders. He telling you, we cannot, we don't want, and we are not going to be able to endorse your participation in the next event. Roman really wanted to go for it. He took the measures that he thought back then were correct for him, and we made it happen. But yet again, there are different cases. But if you ask me about my experience with the medical team of the CrossFit Games, in the situations where I was present, I always felt that they were up to a very high standard.
Or even when Brooke Wells broke her arm, they were out there like in a second.
It was funny because that games when Brooke had her accident, I got kind of beaten by a poison ivy It's the name of the, and I have both my legs were full with pus coming out, like this white thing.
Yeah.
And I have been dealing with that for 2 or 3 days until the moment of the snatches. And I said, oh, I really need to go to the medical service because it looks really, really bad. And when they were taking care of me, then Brooke appears with her arm hanging. So they told me, bro, you need to move. We have an emergency here. And I was like, but you're... yeah. So I was really there when that happened, at least in the medical service.
So her broken arm took precedent over your poison oak.
I know, yeah. And I still remember because I have scars on my feet, on my legs, on those.
And this guy who was in charge of medical told me that there's the thing that stood out the most. What he told me is there was never once in his experience at the CrossFit, working with CrossFit, where the medical team made a request where Dave said no, regardless of cost. So anything that they ever wanted, he always said yes. Yes. Do you remember any times thinking? Do you remember any times athletes were like, "Hey, there's these workouts are too hard. This is over programmed."
No, there were moments where I was worried about certain workouts. I didn't like the sandbag clean back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that it was too risky for people who don't have a proper technique to put that kind of weight on the shoulders. And, and I actually said it, but nobody of the athletes that I saw there, maybe then at least, made a remark on, I don't want to do this workout. It's hard for me. I've never lifted a 320-pound sandbag from the floor like that. Yeah.
I didn't like that one either, especially in the beginning, and it did make me nervous too. You have Guy and Justin and Ricky Garrard doing just crazy shit. I don't remember if it was Emma McQuaid, but one of the littler girls lifted some crazy weight, and I'm like, can you imagine having 300 pounds on your shoulder with your neck there, and it's all cockeyed and their spine's all crooked? That being said, it was an amazing event, one of the highlights of CrossFit Games history. And if we're going to test the fittest, there should be some flirting where us mortals are like, holy shit. Like, I was surprised when Angelo and Saxon said they've never thought the games was over-programmed. I was thinking, well, shit, maybe Dave's not programming them hard enough.
I don't know. I mean, one of the things that CrossFit athletes have is the capacity to adapt fast to whatever is thrown at them, right?
Mm-hmm.
This is something that is unique on the CrossFit world, with benefits and with, cons. Very often they don't perform with a proper technique because they are so concentrated to get something done. They just go for it. But very often CrossFit athletes are really good in adapting. So something that for me might be very complicated to foresee how to perform, a proficient CrossFit athlete might do simply very fast. No, that's not a problem. I actually remember when certain workouts came out and seen people doing it like after 3 minutes of trying them and never tried them before. So I think that's something that defines CrossFit athletes. So so far I always enjoy very much programming at the games. There are events that I didn't like, and those that I didn't like were not for its danger, but because maybe the implementation was not what I expected. I remember one of the workouts with the echo bike and the wall fencing and some push-ups with a little thing where they have to go, and it's on the judges, vision to see whether that was a rep or not. But at the end of the day, And also on the other hand,
that one, that was like they had to determine whether your chest.
so you have the head or the eye level and so on. And but one of the things that I also think, Saban, it's like I am a coach and I need to prepare my athletes to go to wherever they want to go at the CrossFit Games, whether to win or to make a podium or to be top 10 or whatever. I am not sure that it's very clever for me to spend too much time thinking, okay, that I like this workout, I don't like this workout. It will have to be done. So I will be spending time thinking whether I think that is a great test or not. I'm not talking about safety. I'm just talking about the workout itself.
Sevan's all about safety. He still uses condoms. I do. That's correct. Okay. My wife makes me, though. It used to be me, but now it's her. Do you have a relationship with this PFAA thing, this Professional Fitness Athlete Association? Do you have a relationship with them?
You're going for me today, eh? You're
Yeah,
directing the questions. I mean, 1 hour and you want
you up nicely. Now I'm going in for the kill.
No, I was present in 2 meetings. So one after the games last year in Madison, and in a call that took place, 1 or 2 weeks ago. The call in which they read a statement of the demands they were putting forward.
So you've been in two meetings with them, one in Madison and then one in this call. They had a call recently where before they made those demands that included getting Dave fired, you were on that call.
I was on that call, yeah. I mean, there were 55 people were present. I don't know how many were invited.
Do you get a text or an email that says, "Hey, Facundo, do you want to come on the call?"
I think it was an email. That's an invite to, yeah.
And did you know beforehand what the nature of the call was going to be about?
I don't remember if it was written in the email, but given what we were going through, I felt that it was very important that I was there, at least for me.
Does the PFAA have an email list where you get like monthly emails or newsletters from them or anything that you know of?
I don't get monthly emails from them. No.
Do you know what the PFAA is? If someone were to ask you what is the PFAA, would you be able to tell me?
Vaguely.
So because
no, I know.
I don't know what it is either. It's not a gotcha question.
So if you ask me what the PFAA means, I think it's. I think that I know. I don't want to make a mistake, so I prefer not to say it.
I think it's Professional Fitness Athletes Association. But do you know what their charter is, or what their goal is, or what?
Well, I think that their goal is to promote, fairness of play and safety and different standards for athletes to have. Besides, as I said before, well, I'm not going to make myself a fool and then you put it there and I'm saying the thing, but this is who we are. But maybe if you go to what we do, I'm guessing that it's going to be there.
I wonder what this means. We're a diverse group of athletes. I wonder what that means. What do you mean diverse? Like there's some race car drivers in there, some badminton players.
I mean, I really don't. I mean, even though if I was there a couple of times, I don't know who everybody who they are actually. I was in these 2 meetings, and the day where I was present, it was mostly CrossFit athletes. So I'm not sure that there is somebody outside of there.
How many games athletes does Mayhem have?
With the masters and the teens and
adaptive, all that.
So we have 15 individual athletes competing. We have 10 teams, 10 out of the 30 teams. We have I don't want to say the number, maybe I think that 80 people competing in masters and teens. And we have maybe a little bit less people competing in adaptive.
So how many in adaptive?
Less than 10. I think it's 8.
Okay. I had one on yesterday. Yeah, she was amazing. So where I'm going with these loaded questions is you work at Mayhem. I don't know what the numbers are at the camps, but no one would be surprised if it's the biggest camp in CrossFit if someone said that. So, but I don't know what people's names are. I do know that CrossFit Mayhem was the #1 spot for level 1s to be sold worldwide for years, and it probably still would be if they did them there. So I know that it's a massive destination spot for not only the athletes but the community. I know that Rich owns the gym, obviously, and it's grown and grown. I know it's becoming more and more as Rich drifts further and further from his heyday. It's becoming the balance between it being a place where people cure themselves of chronic disease and people become world-class athletes is becoming more and more blended. How is it? And I know that you're at the epicenter of what goes on at Mayhem. You, Jake Foster, Rich Froning. How is it, Rory McKernan? How is it that you wouldn't have an intimate knowledge about what the PFAA is? Like it doesn't like I'm trying to connect the dots of how are you on their board?
No, I was never invited to be on the board. I know that I just see now that fellow colleagues of mine were on the advisory council, but I was never invited to anything else on the meetings that I went.
Is there anyone from Mayhem on the board? I saw Victoria Campos. Is she Mayhem?
She's a Mayhem athlete. She's on the board, yeah.
Okay, but she doesn't work for Mayhem.
And Royce. And Royce.
Do you, when Saxon and Angelo were on here, they were saying that they felt like there was an agenda that they had.
Who and when?
Saxon.
Yeah, who had an agenda and when?
Sorry, that the PFAA and Brent have an agenda. That it feels like that there's an agenda that's different than the agenda that. Well, I can't even figure out exactly.
You want to ask me something and you are making circles on it.
No,
just can't go for it.
Okay. Do you like the PFAA?
I don't have enough experience with them as to say that I like them.
Do you give them any credence in their voice in the sport?
I don't have enough experience to validate what they. I don't know very well what they're asking for, except the meeting that I went. So I cannot say, yes, I'm agreeing 100% to what their demands are, and not. For example, and I'll be honest on something. When I was in the meeting with them, I don't feel that I was the part of the athletes being there that were demanding the resignation of Dave Castro.
So that demand in specific, you don't agree with?
I don't agree with.
You don't? Interesting. Do you think it's preposterous?
No, I don't think that it's very early to. I mean, if the reason why the demands of Dave Castro's resignment is the tragedy that happened at the games, I think that we need to let the answers from the law for whomever is the proper authority to come, and then we decide which actions should be made. But I think it's too early to take such a decision.
Do you have any thoughts on why they're asking for his resignation?
As I said before, I don't know very well how they work and what they work on. Maybe it's valid. I just don't know it. I cannot validate something that I really don't know. In that meeting, for example, I can say that I can completely validate the request for more safety and a proper team to investigate the tragedy that happened, and that I completely agree with them. I don't think that in my perspective, I don't think that should be mixed with, okay, and we also want Dave Castro gone. I think that there are two valid points that are things that are urgent and they need to happen. I don't think that I don't have the feeling that at this stage all the responsibility needs to fall on Dave. I think that if a judge or the law or whoever is responsible to give such answer puts that on Dave, then probably that's the right thing to do. Until that moment, we need to wait and see what those answers are.
The part I'm frustrated with, obviously, is them asking for Dave to step down. But I can't figure out what they're asking because there's no details in it, right? Like if I told you, hey, I want you to change your look, Facundo, you'd be like, okay. And then like it would be nice if I said, take off your glasses and shave a mohawk, right? I'm getting nothing from that. I feel like all of the things that they're saying are inflammatory without substance.
Okay.
And I'm wondering if you know anything more than that. Like you're saying that you think that there does need to be some change, or the first two actions, we demand an appropriate level of transparency between CrossFit and PFAA. Like do they want a Ring phone in Dave's bathroom at his house, a Ring camera at Dave's house? Like this has we want to create an independent safety council. You know, CrossFit does have a safety council, and then on top of that, I don't know who I don't know what these guys are. And when I talk to someone like you, if they haven't able to get your support, or if someone like you in the community doesn't already know what's going on, that makes me feel like, who's at your foundation? What's your what validity should I give anything that you say other than you have this really cool name, PFAA? Look,
I will repeat the same. I'm not aware of, maybe because I'm, I wasn't invited to, or maybe because things didn't work out like that. I don't know very much on their work besides the meetings that I was, and the last meeting was mostly about that. It's just that, I mean, I think that whether it's the PFAA or whoever, I think that many of these demands should have been done beforehand. If everybody was so aware before of, everybody's talking about nobody cares for the athletes. Everything was always been so unsafe. Why were not measures taken before? And I'm not blaming anybody at all. I come from a place where you need to be fully responsible of your actions. And yet again, I'm not bringing anybody into this mix, but there were many people who were at the podium of the CrossFit Games happy with their checks and were celebrating their victory. And I've never heard anybody of those athletes saying, yes, I'm using the spot where I'm now to criticize that I didn't feel safe this year at the Games. Everybody seems to be in a very celebratory mood in that moment. So for me, that puts a little bit of questioning. So, okay, well, now that things didn't go as they should have gone, all the criticism come, but beforehand, everybody was happy with their check and their podium position.
They claim it's because they're scared of Dave, and
I'm not talking about the PF. I mean, I'm talking in general. Whether it's the PF, whether it's
But they would say the same thing, Facundo. They would say, "Hey, the reason why athletes don't speak up is because they're afraid of Dave." That they keep leaning on that, or they would say Dave won't listen to us.
Okay, so there are two things. I mean, everybody might be afraid of Dave because he has a strong personality.
Yeah.
But then, if fear is your limiting factor, don't blame it on Dave. Blame it on your capacity of overcome that fear and make your words being expressed. I mean, I cannot get upset with somebody else because I'm unable to do something myself because I'm scared of that person, right? Sorry, I mean, I'm not scared of Dave. I'm more scared of Dave than Nicole Carroll, for example. Nicole Carroll scares me, because she's sharp. She's like, are you scared by Nicole Carroll, Sivan?
I used to be very intimidated by her. Not so much anymore now that I not work there, but yeah, definitely.
But so, I think that we need to take responsibility. And so if I cannot fully validate a claim that didn't have a history beforehand. I mean, everybody's been to the Games many, many times. Why didn't this issue happen before? This request, this, like, if it's because
they would tell you it has. They would say we've been trying for the last 4 years.
Maybe.
And they got no response, and that they're now using this event to use their voice to get the change that they want.
Yeah.
I'm not buying it. Let me ask you this, something even wilder. I'm starting to feel like that there is a coalition of people who have financial interests, these training camps, and I don't know if I would lump Mayhem in the bunch, but there's this interest from training camps that are and agents and managers and coaches who are basically using this as an attempt to make a coup. And it feels more and more that they want to sink their teeth into CrossFit, and they want the athletes to be doing the programming, and that basically they want in because they want to steer the ship strictly for financial gains.
Look, I'm going to tell you something that for me was, of course, after the tragedy that happened, the saddest moment that I had to go through the Games, the saddest moment that I had to live through the Games this year is I saw a lot of people that didn't agree with the Games moving forward to the weekend. On the warm-up area, even on Sunday, making feel the athletes that wanted to stay guilty because of their decision. There are many people, I'll tell you something. I remember Laura Horvath, for example, which I might not agree on many things with Laura, but she spoke her mind the first day. She kept her words and she behaved accordingly. She went out of the games, never came back. I don't agree with this. This is not in line with how I think things should be, and I admire that. And she was not influenced by anybody. She didn't have any other gain except her own decision, and I really, really admire that. I didn't agree with her decision, but I admired her. Of all the people, maybe not. So for many of the people that were competing at the CrossFit Games, maybe Lazar's best friend was Karen Frey Oba. They were very good friends. I mean, I lived very beautiful things with them together as a team. And the day that happened, Karen sent me a text and said, "Is it true?" And I said, "Yes." I was in at the lake until the last minute when I left with Lazar's family. And a couple of hours later, she called me back and said, "Coach, I always do whatever you ask me to do, but please don't ask me to compete because I will not be competing." That was before any meeting, before anything took place. That was a decision that came out from himself, that didn't have any kind of influence from anybody else. And I told her, "Karen, maybe you want to think about it. Yeah, if you ask me to think about it, I'll think about it, but I'll tell you it's going to be a no. My head, my heart, my body, I'm unable to compete." So many of these people took the decision, and I respect that enormously, especially those who took it ethically correct. I've seen some people who decided they didn't want to compete, but instead of going home, they spend most of the time on the athletes warm-up area. And I've heard one comment saying, "Oh, it must be really hard to compete. You didn't know Lazar, right? Because it must be really hard to compete if you would have met him." And that was very sad for me because that was a division. It was a lack of respect to whatever you were deciding, right? It's not like, okay, you decide and I respect you. I'll decide, respect me. It was kind of, I'll decide and I'm going to be the judge of a moral order in which I'll tell you whether what you're doing is right or wrong.
Right.
And I think that decision, that gap is still palpable today. I think that we still see, well, why you compete? We didn't have to, very unnecessary. I think that gave birth to a very hurtful, tone that we are all going through at the moment.
There was one other time in my life, Facundo, where I was somewhere where I was next to where 5 people were killed, right? I witnessed 5 people getting killed. And the only thing I wanted to do was like go home and be with family or crawl under the sheets. And when I realized that Lazar was dead, all I wanted to do was call my wife, ask her to book me a flight home and go be with my kids. I totally understand that, like the flight mode, right? I think we all, like, I'm sure you were like, fuck, I need to hug my daughter, right?
Yeah.
Right. You're looking for like some sort of like whatever that is. So it's that, I guess, that automatic response coupled with the fact that you also have a task at hand. And some people were able to, what's that called? Reconcile those two, and maybe some people weren't. But I did see that also, what you're saying. I didn't see it in person, but I did see people posting like somehow they had a better conscience, and because they had a higher level of conscience and moral aptitude, that they left. And I thought that was pretty aggressive to the people who stayed. Like somehow that person has the moral authority of what's right and someone else doesn't. And that I agree, that was pretty harsh.
Yeah, I think that it was fine that everybody had the right to decide whatever they want to do. What I found unfortunate was like, well, I don't agree on what you're doing. Nobody needed to hear that weekend, especially that weekend.
Right.
Everybody was, doing their best to be there. And what is forgotten now, or is being put into controversy, is that most of the athletes wanted to keep going. It was not a one-person decision. I'm not saying that was the correct thing to do.
Right.
Just think that was what happened then.
Right. Big groups have made lots of bad decisions.
Yeah, I mean, and it's acceptable. Everybody was mourning. Everybody was in a state of shock.
Right.
So, it's not in those moments where you take the cleverest decisions, right? You do whatever you can.
Have you spoken with Don since the incident? Have you had a meeting with Don?
Don't fall?
Yes.
No.
Okay. Because it sounded like Saxon called him and said, "Hey, I don't agree with Dave. These demands, and I didn't get to vote on any of this. And when they talk about the PFAA, that's not me. I want you to know. And I've been doing CrossFit since 2008. I've owned an affiliate. My brother's owned an affiliate. My other brother's owned an affiliate. I worked out with my family in an affiliate. I've trained thousands of people, and that is not my Those are not my words, and I was not part of that." Which I thought was pretty fucking badass.
Yeah. We Saxon was also in the meeting, and we actually talked to each other immediately after the meeting was over. And I mean, yeah, I mean, me and I think that, and I don't think some other people didn't do, but I guess that some people did agree on that decision, and it's fair. If they think that that's the case, I don't agree with it. I'm not going to tell them that that's the wrong thing to do, and they just shouldn't think like that. I cannot say, okay, you should not tell people not to compete, but I will tell people not to think like that. Everybody has the right to have their own decision. It's not mine. And I don't think for what you tell me, Saxon's too. I mean, and Saxon is a very clever person. People, I guess that after yesterday, many people get a bit of a glimpse of what a clever person he is.
Yeah. I was surprised.
Yeah, he's a guy that's been around, and then as you know, he comes from this very old school where community goes first. Where you can compete with somebody, but then you can be best friends too. And you high five with an honest heart, and you celebrate the sport moving forward. And that's something that is very valuable on him. And sorry, he celebrates sport moving forward and keep growing.
Caroline M. It's convenient. Hi, Caroline. It's convenient, emotionally charged outlet to get out years of frustration that not every athlete has towards CrossFit and Dave, particularly Brent and Pat types. Would you say that they have been sort of in a haters camp for a long time?
No, I don't know. I don't know whether I really don't want to talk about Brent or Pat. I mean, because I really don't know very much about what the work they're doing. I just think that yes, but maybe it was not the right time then there, or maybe they should have come naturally because there was a need, not because something happened and used that as a scapulary goat of like, now because this happened, I'm going to do this. I'm not talking about Brent or Pat. I'm talking about the people that claim that are scared of Dave.
Do you have any thoughts on the direction that the games will go?
I don't. I hope that, the games has been always a great event, at least for me. I'm not an athlete, so I might see things differently. I hope that, that they move forward for the great event they are for me in my eyes. I mean, that also, creates the financial network for many people to live. I mean, I have a lot of athletes that are depending on competing and going to the CrossFit Games. And camps that do that, prepare people to do that, not just, but also. So I hope that the games move forward, doing these great events they have always been done. Maybe this year is a different story, but the past has shown differently, at least for me as a non-athlete.
Facundo, when I see these athletes who have these big followings and I see what they post, I sometimes think that there's a burden on them to make posts that they really don't want to stir the hornet's nest, right? Even if it means showing their true selves. And so I'll use Noah as an example. He seems to be very preoccupied with not wanting to offend people. And he presents very kindly. And all my interactions with Noah have been fucking absolutely amazing. I know some people, he's got a group of haters that think he's fake. I've never gotten any of that from him. I wouldn't characterize him as fake, but I would characterize him as someone who's really concerned that he might offend someone or hurt someone's feelings. And I would say he's almost crippled by it. and that this burden of posting things that don't offend anyone. Like he always gives a preface. I hope I don't trigger anyone. I hope this, I hope that. And then on the other hand, you have an older athlete like Rich Froning, who shot the bear last year and brought it home and ate it. And then this time, and that at least he had some time to think about before he posts. He's not stupid. He knew it was obviously like, I mean, he's showing his lifestyle. He's speaking to his audience. But there's some people who think that you shouldn't eat animals, right? Or they eat animals and for some reason they just don't accept killing them. I don't know what their problem is.
Which is worse. That's worse. Yes.
Just eating them alive, just taking a bite out of a duck at the pond. Anyway, different topic. But now you have him. This event goes down. These demands, and right away, Rich makes a post.
Yeah.
Does he consult anyone about that first, or is he just like, fuck you?
I think that Rich is a very independent, clever man. Very clever. And he knows very well always what he's doing. But I tell you something. When what happened, I was sitting next to Anya, Lazar's girlfriend, when all of that unraveled, and it was. And the only person that I called was Rich. And not only he's one of my best friends, maybe my best friend, but I was so lost that I just, we were waiting and everything seems like falling apart. And I called him and said, this is what's happening. And, and so I respect him so much and I know how clever he is. So I think that whatever he does, and he's been around. I mean, Seban, you know it very well.
He at the starting, and that was the day before his race, right?
That was 2 days before. That was on Thursday. Okay. His race was on Saturday, but he came on Sunday, and actually he didn't do anything. He just stayed with us. I was not doing very well, and he came. We spent the whole time sitting together, and then we left. But the question about it is whether Noah and Rich, I didn't keep what you were going to ask me.
Do you think he posts that support, like, and this is for all of you who say I'm biased. This is my bias, how I'm going to word this. I'm really much more honest than any of you fucktards, but this is my bias. When the mob was incited to come after Dave, Rich is like, and he just and he made 2 posts back to back. He doubled down.
Yeah, I know.
That I think a lot of people who probably even who don't agree with the PFAA, which I think is the vast majority. I think it's a hollow organization. I know it is, just because from interviewing people, obviously, my words, not yours, but if you have if 1/3 of the teams at the CrossFit Games or Mayhem teams, and you don't fucking know jack shit about the PFAA, or you haven't asked to be on the board, and you have 15 individual athletes, I mean, something's fucking wrong. On the other hand, they're posting, we speak for the athletes. I mean, it's just chaos. I could go on and on about the mistakes and the misrepresentation of who they say they are. But I don't think a lot of athletes would have done what we've seen Saxon and Rich do.
Well, but then
Rich has a lot to lose. I mean, theoretically, you would think. I mean, you and I know that the Mayhem family is strong as fuck, but a lot of people might think, even if they don't, they might be scared to do what he did.
Well, I'll tell you something. Rich is not somebody who's going to do something or not do something because of the fear of that not falling well into the community. Therefore, the hunting and so on, right?
Right.
But it is what you mentioned before. I mean, then and I'm not mentioning anybody in particular, but people complain about being scared of Dave, and then you see somebody like Rich doing that. I think that the problem nowadays seems to be like, I'm unable to do something, or because Rich does something he believes is correct, he's rewarded, which is fine but what I'm trying to say very freely is I think that Rich is honest in whatever he says. He posts on social media always. In the past, I think that he has also posted about disagreement he has with Dave. I mean, right. He was wearing the Dave is a prick t-shirt for years until you couldn't see it anymore, yeah. Right? And if he doesn't like something about the programming, whether it's Dave or Boss who does it, he said, I find it's
Yep.
I like this. But I think he's been around for a long time, and his his words for me are of great value.
Why do you think that they want Dave to go? Do you think that it's because Lazar died, or do you think it's for some other reason? Do you have any idea why they would want him to go?
I don't have any factual idea. I have my feelings, whatever
suspicions. You have your suspicions.
I don't say suspicion, my hypothesis, or I'm guessing, or I'm feeling that.
Do you think that there's people driving Brent? You think that there's people driving Brent in the shadows behind the scenes? You think he has cultivated support from agents and managers and things like that?
I don't know. I think that what happened is very terrible. We lost a friend, we lost an athlete, we lost a very, very valuable member of our community, a source of inspiration and for many athletes, and someone who raised the game. And that's something terrible that happened, and we need to find the answers that we need to have, right? For everybody to start making accepting what happened. Now, I'm not sure whether everybody is. I do have a feeling that there is some people have a hidden a personal agenda on this, and I find it extremely sad, and I found it extremely irresponsible, extremely basic as a human being to bring your own personal agenda in this terrible thing that happened. I think it's very low from someone to do that. I have a feeling I've received a lot of messages in the last month. Now it's going to be on Sunday 1 month, 8th of August, and I think that I hear a bit of everything, and I've heard comments that upset me enormously.
Things you can't share with us because they're not necessary, right?
It's not about sharing. It's just like about I find it very small to be talking about these little things where we should be concentrating on something much more important and respecting something much more important, which is Lazar's memory and his brother and Anya and the mom and so on. And everybody's now kind of turn the page on that and talking about certain other stuff, and that upsets me. That I don't think that's fair. I don't think that's the way things should be. I had in my ear, something that I can tell you, when we were discussing about moving forward or not, and we were in this meeting, with Dave and the representative of the coaches, the teams, the male and the female athletes, and when it's going to be very unpopular, but I'm going to say it anyways. When we were talking about whether moving the competition as it was planned or moving into an exhibit in which the money will be shared equally by all the competitors, and there wouldn't be a prize money and there wouldn't be a leaderboard. One of the athletes that was endorsing this idea of sharing the money said, okay, yes, but careful. The individual prize money, let's share it only with individuals. The teams have a much lower prize purse, and they should have their own division.
Wow.
And that really hurt me so hard because it was the same day,
right,
when that happened, or somebody who was present in the meeting said, okay, well, if we decide to move on this format of competing, can we erase the event number 1 out of the leaderboard? And one of the people that was next to me, who was an athlete who did very well, said, no, why we should do that? Well,
yeah, why would you do that? I can't even make the leap of kind of understanding.
I don't know. The only thing that I will tell you is that one of the athletes in question did really bad in the first event.
And
So when I hear all of these things, I'm sorry. Right. I hear all of these things, it invalidates many of the things that I hear today on social media.
Right.
Because I was there listening to that. And said, how can you now claim this? Well, you said that you wanted to split the money, but not everybody else the same. Sorry. The prize money for the individuals, for them, and the teams they should have much less because the price purse for the teams is lower than individuals.
Basically, what I'm hearing you say is that, hey guys, we need to get healed through this Lazar thing, and we need to get like through this. But there are these distractions that are coming from people who are conflating the morning of Lazar with their self-interests. And it's making it difficult to get to the other side when your self-interests are coming into play. Is that basically what I'm saying? Because I know a lot of times you want to keep steering this conversation back to just like, man, what a great guy Lazar is, how much it sucks this happened. But obviously I'm curious what's going on, because I do not like the idea of Dave stepping down as head of the CrossFit Games. And so I'm hyper focused on like, hey, now that you're saying that shit, like, fuck you. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, that's what I feel. That's what I'm unable to validate any request from anybody. And I'm not from everybody who tells me something. So I was there listening to that. So whoever that person tells me from now on, sorry, it doesn't have value for me. You lost my respect and lost any kind of credibility for me.
Right.
And for the record, I was not the only person who heard that. Huh? There were many people in the room. We were at least 30 people in the room. You know, and
it's the same thing with the whole print when Brent went on the Coffee Pods and Wads podcast. Basically, he said, why, I think Pedro, I'm paraphrasing, but Pedro said, hey, why are you coming forward with this? And he says, because CrossFit won't meet with us. You know, it's just all emails and Zoom calls. And within 24 hours, we find out that they had 2 meetings during the game season in person with Don Fall, one with Dave. And it's like, hey, dude, why would you even lie? Like that's a pretty huge misrepresentation of what you're doing. Right. And so now, like, I'm wondering, what else does it invalidate? I have 2 more questions. Good. Do you want to say something?
No, I'm just saying that, yeah, I mean, I don't follow the case of what happened with Brent and very much and Pat that day. So I'm unable to give you a proper answer. What I'm talking is about my personal feelings about that day, right, and how, for me, Facundo, many people nowadays are, no, I wouldn't say canceled, but I don't respect them anymore. I just, you know.
Yeah, there's what I'm saying is just there's an inconsistency. You can't tell me on one hand one thing and then over here your actions are showing the opposite. And you're like, hey, you canceled out. Any shit you say now doesn't mean shit to me. I have to take a quick pee break. And then I have the 2 best questions of the day for you.
There's no magic cure to getting you out of that mindset of focusing on how you look. But an affiliate is, in my opinion, by far the best place to help you with that shift. Before starting at the gym, I was somebody who just always wanted to be smaller, and I always wanted to like look a certain way, and I was never satisfied with my body. All my goals were focused around, all of my exercise was like, how do I get as small as possible? And so I was like super unhealthy. Like I wasn't eating and all sorts of stuff. Unfortunately, like when I had gotten really bad, Megan had me join here. So it was very quickly that I was like, okay, well, if I want to like lift with all of these other girls, and if I want to like keep up with them, and if I want to be strong and all those things, that this has to switch. It was like within 6 months, I like realized that switch, where it was like all of a sudden on my Instagram feed, instead of like tiny little people, I had like these strong, beautiful, capable women that could lift hundreds of pounds. So this for me has been a whole mindset shift of like, I now appreciate my body for what it can do, not what it looks like. In here, we don't care what you look like as long as you're hitting what you want to achieve.
Facundo,
that was a nice ad, though.
Thank you. We're doing a video contest. I do it all. I've killed Taylor, the competition. I have the affiliate promotion. I have the beautiful Facundo from France.
From Argentina, though, huh?
Oh, from Argentina.
In France.
Argentina. Okay. I heard that after the on Friday or on Thursday, whatever the days after the incident, that Roman was like, Dave, don't ask anybody what to do. Just tell us what to do. We go out and do it.
Is that a question, or you are just paraphrasing him?
I'm paraphrasing him. Did he say that? Was he just like,
No,
hey,
he was-
man,
he
I
was-
just
he
want to
was-
put my fucking head down and work? Like he was just
Yeah.
ready to.
Yes and no. The truth is that when we were all called, I mean, all the athletes, coaches, teams, everybody, athletes from team, everybody, there wasn't an agreement. We were just divided into groups. We tried to find an agreement on what was the best thing to do, and there was no agreement. So we could have spent there, 48 more hours trying to decipher, okay, what are we going to do? It comes to a point where Roman says, guys, we are not getting anywhere. So why don't you just let Dave decide? I mean, this is your competition. Since we are not agreeing on anything, you decide what we should do. And the decision was to name representatives, which we have a little meeting, and then just us. And we were representing, our people, the one that have elected us. And, that's what was happened. So that's what Roman came and said. We don't get to an agreement. Why, just, Dave, you have to decide what we should do. But it was no decision. I mean, everybody was free to do it or not. One of the things that I proposed back then is like, if you didn't want to compete this year, that you should get maybe a wild card for next year, because you deserve to be there, right? You got a spot from a semifinal, and this terrible circumstance make you not want to compete, which is completely understandable. Then maybe why don't you just make these people invited next year? Because it's not that they are not competing because something non important happened. They were unable to compete, and I respect that. Yeah. So
sorry, you might not like this next part. Sorry, bear with me here. I have to talk to someone in the comments. Roman is all about the money. Listen, you fucknut. You don't know other people's circumstances. What if he had to fucking win the money to buy a visa to keep his kids, or his kid had a fucking heart valve that was broken, or he had his fucking families trying to get out of fucking Russia because they're fucking in danger or some shit? What do you mean it's all about the fucking money? Go fuck yourself. Okay. I would like to.
Can I answer to that too?
Oh, please go ahead.
I don't know who the person is. I'm sorry, but you are completely.
Mr. Weed. Mr. Weed.
Mr. Weed, you are very, very mistaken. I would like to know, where do you take this idea from? Because that's not true.
He take it out of his fucking ass. Okay. Here we go. Two very touchy subjects here.
More than this?
Oh yeah, that was just fun. David's just fun. Okay. I paid David to say crazy shit so I can have outbursts. He's on my payroll.
Okay.
Just part of the show, part of the gimmick. The story is, and it's a little bit of a long story, so bear with me here. The story is that Dave asked Luca, hey, we're going to do a memorial. Or do you want the event to go forward or backward? Or do you want the event to go forward, or do you not want the event to happen? The story is that Luca said something in between, I don't care, and of course do it. That it's somewhere in that realm. Andrew Hiller explained to me, I think it was Andrew. No, who was it? Taylor Self explained to me, because his dad died when he was in high school. And he's like, hey, dude, when something like that happens, like, you don't give a fuck about anything. The only thing going on in Luca's mind was, I want my brother back. Like, it's not even like he's not worried about eating or breathing or not. He doesn't care. Like, he'll just walk out into the middle of the street. Like, it's like he just lost his fucking brother. He doesn't care. Okay. And so it doesn't matter if it goes forward or backward. It's not even a question you can process, which I really like that perspective. So I can relate to it. Seems very reasonable. So then they went forward with the games, and then the story is that the athletes were really upset because they felt like they were duped into doing the games because he didn't really give his blessing. He said he just didn't care. That's the first part. The other part is that Luca did come to the memorial. I didn't see this. I was on the floor watching the memorial, but I guess he said, I don't want to be used in any media, but the word didn't get to the media guys or the camera guys, and they actually had his face up on the screen during the memorial crying. I didn't see it, but that's what I heard. And so he was upset about that. Well, then recently I was listening to Brian Friend and Patrick Clark speak on a podcast, And I heard them say that they actually ran the plan of the memorial by Luca. Like he actually knew what it was going to be. It was going to be 1 minute of this, 1 minute of this, 1 minute of this, and then it was going to be over. And that Luca said, okay, that's fine. And we all know, I guess Luca was there for the memorial. I didn't see him, but could you confirm that he was there?
He was there in the memorial. He was there. Yeah.
He was there. I know this is just fucking so petty. Like whether the memorial was long enough or whether he gave it the blessing or not. But do you have any insights into that?
I think that first of all, we need to respect Luca and Anya and the people who were there so much that I don't think that there's much space for, making comments about them from that day. And at all at the moment, they are mourning enormously the loss of a brother and a boyfriend. And I don't know, but I understand. And I did talk to Anya. And as you well said, I mean, their head was somewhere else. They just really, the games happening or not, I guess that was not, I'm guessing, I'm sorry, but I'm not, also don't want to overspeak. I find it very plausible that their head was somewhere else. It's just.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with you. Completely irrelevant. It's like being hit by a car and then someone asking you what you want to watch on TV tonight. It's like, what?
Yeah, it's, I'm wonder why people would like not to make a story about it. No, it's just, I will respect. And of course, everything that they decide that day, if they feel like this, they feel like that, they want the games to move forward. They had the biggest
surviving victims of Lazar's death.
Yeah, and I want to say this. I mean, it's a different tone. It's such a beautiful tone, but Lazar, you cannot imagine how much he loved his brother and his girlfriend, his mom and his dad and the people that were close to him. He was a very, very good brother and boyfriend and friend. He was all about his family for him, and I don't know. I find it very disrespectful to talk about it, to be honest, to talk about these ideas or hypotheses, whether, well, they should have done this. It's, yeah.
And you're really not going to like this next question.
Okay.
This one's fucking. What happened to Lazar at Burj Khalifa, and did he have any health issues?
I wasn't there.
You were his coach. Do you know what happened to him?
I know that he felt very, very sick. He felt very sick, and then he couldn't. He actually, I think that he did an event after that, which he did well, but overall he felt very bad, and he was unable to continue the way he wants to continue.
Did he ever get a diagnosis for what happened?
Not that I know. Not that I know.
Was his health good?
I mean, he competed. I mean, it was in the middle of COVID time, huh? And in Europe, we have the flu A too, Europe and the Middle East. So there was a time where many people were getting a lot of things. I really don't know. I mean, he like many other people competing, he didn't feel well. He got something. It was extremely hot in Dubai. But yet again, I wasn't there. I don't know. I think that many people leave competition because they don't feel well. I don't think that there's space for creating a story about it. No, I mean,
regarding his overall health,
he was a very healthy man. I mean, he trained, of the people that I know that I programmed for. I think that Haley Adams and him did the most volume. They were hardworking people, and except for that experience there, Lazar was never sick. He was always in very good health, and he never left a competition. He never said, except for that one, said, "Oh, well, I mean, I think that he started training very soon. He was invited to the Open. A couple of months later, he won that workout. Then he won his region.
Three times, right? 3 times?
3 times, yeah. 3 times. 3 times. I want to tell you something that was a beautiful thing. I remember when we started working together, he he was not the king of Europe, right? Two things. And so he said, okay, well, we're going to measure if our work is on the right track. If I win, it was a Lowlands in Amsterdam, and he won. But Luca didn't win, didn't make a spot for the games. And I remember that I was waiting him on the warm-up area. There was a big curtain, and when he went through the little curtain, I was going to hug him, and he just fell on the floor crying because he could not celebrate as Luca didn't qualify. That was the devotion and the love he had for his brother. And he was really heartbroken. And I was like trying to, hey, but you win. You are the new king of Europe. No, it didn't matter. It didn't matter to him. He wanted his brother to be with him. He would have much preferred to take third, as long as Luca would take fourth or fifth or three or third. But yeah. So yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
You're cutting me off now?
Yeah, you're cut off.
I was warming up.
Man, it's a lot.
No, I want to, I think that I the only thing that I would like to, one of the many things that I would like is that the focus is not switch and to move somewhere else, and we can always keep Lazar in our hearts and our minds. And I hope that the CrossFit Games does something to honor him in the next editions. So yeah, I think that will be something very beautiful to do, that we don't forget what extraordinary person he was.
Awesome. Thank you. I'm sorry for your loss, by the way. The little interactions I had with him on the show in person, fucking awesome. And him and Luca, they felt like family to me. So just like they felt like they were uncle. They felt like they were Armenians to me. They felt like Armenians.
They were, yes. I remember when you first invited them, and he was so happy. He told me, "Oh, you know what? Finally, I think that I'm going to make it because I'm going to be in Sevan podcast."
Oh man.
That was, yeah. Yeah.
Caleb, thank you for looking like a picture the whole time. Your coloring is amazing. Facundo, thank you. Everyone, love you guys. See you guys 11 a.m. Oh, no, sorry, 12 p.m. and 40 minutes. Matt Souza will be on. Love you guys. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.